that you can ask to be notified when they die. Die means deallocated. So the argument I give to my pthread is a new mock port I created, and I'm telling the kernel, I'm blocking on this, just let me know when this dies. And the last thing the pthread does after doing all this stuff is it deallocates the port, so I know that guy is dead. Oh, and before dying, it suspends itself. Naturally, that's the death. It deallocates the port and suspends itself. Now I can do the reverse of what I just did, which means I can put everything back in, and it happens in just a second. I mean, it's no big deal. But the important point is that all this works using interfaces. So all this uses functionality that is a first-class API in macOS 10, so it's not really subverting the system as such. I guess that's all I have. It's been a miscellaneous talk. I hope you found it useful. Thank you. Any questions, please?
Yep. Is off. There are two specific problems regarding the TPM in Apple hardware. First, it's a common IBM misinformation strategy to say TPM is a neutral part of hardware. If you take a look at the words, for instance, from Ron Rivest, it's very clear. TPM is a building block which is problematic by design. We don't have the control about our own keys. We give away the control for our keys. Especially, we have another problem. We have attestation over the network. So a provider can check your computer without your knowledge. And the deep problem with Apple is that Apple didn't follow the data protection rules of the Trusted Computing Group. The Apple TPM hardware chip is activated. So my question is, why do you do here this information campaign?
No, the Apple TPM chip was not activated.
It was activated.
When?
In the first iBooks, second generation, it was invented. I have spoken with Seth Schön from the EFF. You could inform you, please.
No, so how do you know it was activated? I mean, without a driver, how do you tell?
It's activated in a sense, following the definition of the Trusted Computing Group of activated. Please read the standard to be informed. It's activated. Usually it was best practice for data protection that the chip is not activated, and in the Apple Mac hardware it has been activated.
No, it ships. I mean, if by activated you mean that you can see it on the LPC bus and you can send commands to it. That is expected. That's what you want.
That it's best practice for the Trusted Computing Group that the user has to activate the chip, and it was automatically activated, which has been presented by EFF, said Schön. Apple has violated the data protection best practice of Trusted Computing Group.
No, I think there's some confusion here because, okay, so one of the things you need to do with the TPM, so let's say you want to take ownership. Ownership means you want to set your own password. Then you have to establish what's known as physical presence, which means that you can't do it over the network. You have to be here. You have to press some vendor-specific keys, like it's the function key in IBM ThinkPads. And then you go into the BIOS and then you say, clear the TPM, and then I'm setting a new password. Apple doesn't even have that. So
Apple has no access for the TPM chip for the user, point. There is no support, so IBM makes better privacy protection treatment than Apple.
No, I never said. That is the whole point of this talk, that Apple is not doing anything with the TPM. It's just sitting on the LPC bus. That doesn't make it good or bad. It's just a fact.
It sits there and it can be used, for instance, to produce digital registration management for Disney pictures.
But Apple can't do that.
Yeah, they can do it. You misinformation.
No, but that's not how the chip works. How is Apple going to own the chip? Because once they ship the machine,
they can control what hardware you have over desktop, over network checking of your computer system. Attestation. Please inform you. Please read the standard.
No, this is incorrect.
It is not incorrect.
No, so one of the things is that this physical presence thing I said, the point of physical presence is that no software should be able to reset the chip or like put its own password after you owned it. So to begin with, I just showed you how the thing worked. I didn't show you how I actually own the chip. So the owning process is you establish physical presence. Apple doesn't have physical presence. So in cases where there's no physical presence just means that at boot time, the BIOS actually identifies the chip. The BIOS supports showing the user a prompt and saying, okay, now own this chip. And then the BIOS sets a flag in the TPM which disables it from being able to reset from software. So here, Apple doesn't even support it in EFI, which means you can actually boot into OS X and I can say, I want to reset the chip. And since that flag is not set, it will let me reset it from software, which is actually not allowed in a real implementation of TPM. But is it reset and owned? No. I will require a few reboots, and I'll have to do, I have to power cycle the TPM. I mean, that's how it works. That's by design. So Apple can't like smuggle in, and I'm not talking for Apple or not trying to defend them. I'm just saying it's technically not feasible for Apple to ship something unless they actually do a Trojan horse, that here's a new funky iTunes update and do this and do that. And even then, the TPM is on your machine. If you find out, and someone will find out, you can just turn it off. So TPM is as much a building block of all kinds of DRM systems as is the computer. So you can use it for good or evil. It's not.
I have a question.
Yes?
Two things. I noticed that you have a proc file system working on your Mac. Does that mean you finally got it to stop kernel panicking on your box?
Oh, right. Yeah, good you asked, because I was feeling that nobody asked had a proc file system going there. Yes, there's a proc file system, and I hope to release it soon.
Excellent. I'm glad that. The second thing is there anything on, I have a MacBook Pro, and I haven't messed with, I don't have the proc file system. I didn't know that it was fixed. Is there anything that's stopping Apple from releasing an update that will enable my TPM chip, since I've done nothing with it, and use it against me in a way that I don't like?
Well, no, see, the TPM by itself...
But the question is there anything stopping Apple from doing that?
Okay. The most they could do is...
It's a yes or no question.
The most no, I will tell you the most what they could do. The most they could do is to trick you into making them the owner. And
so the answer is yes?
No, but even then, once you found out, you could... But this is really
The answer is yes, right? They can do that. They can own my machine because I don't have any interface for initializing the device in the first place. Therefore, they can own it through an update. They're cryptographically signed. They can do that. And if I want a security update, it's very possible that I'll have to apply their DRM stuff.
No, but see, what is the point of the DRM if you can turn it off?
What stops Apple from doing that? Nothing. Nothing. Except you trust them, and I don't.
No, okay, yeah, so we're out of time, and if people want to talk, we can meet outside or here.